Hello, it's Matthew, or with Amnesia, for example, and I want to discuss some things which are apparent to myself, which I want to get about in a very simple fashion, in a sense, right? So, I'm very much into design stuff and mythology, writing, these type of things. And I've come about and I've designed basically an entire planet, an entire universe in a sense. All with from deities down to the lowest ranks in a sense, to the small details of things. I've basically scoured mythology and basically ancient history and stuff, and I've taken pieces of it in a sense and I've combined into a world. And I want to now make a concerted effort to make a game out of this, or set, rather, in this universe, because I think the time is right. But I have a great frustration within me, is that I wish, more so than anything, to make this game, I lack the complete tool set for it. But I wanted to show some of the vision, some of the direction where I wanted to go with this, how where my passion is seated, in a sense. I think there's a word in Spanish that comes from bullfighting, is querencia or something like that. It's basically this instinctual place of strength. For example, when the bull is in the ring fighting, you'd go back to this place instinctually. Each bull is different. Querencia, I think it was pronounced. It means like your metaphysical place of strength. This is where I'm talking from, in a sense. When I want to go and describe these things, so I don't want to take up your time, who's watched this, too much. I can go into detail and thump you over the head with just too much detail. I think, to a fault. So I want to keep this brief. This is the planet AGABAL. It's a little bit outdated map, but it gets the most of the broad strokes done. It's so this is the planet in the orbit, whatnot, and the sun. But I want to focus on the art, for example, the theme, because it's one of the major things that people will see, in a sense, all the time. So a lot of studios, they do like a cartoony type of thing, in a sense, where it's easier to make and it's kind of copying World of Warcraft success. But I want to go back to the roots of it all, the mythology, the Dungeons and Dragons, this. I feel there's more depth, for example, when you do a pragmatic, practical, rooted, grounded approach to it. Gives more depth to the world, more relatability, and I just like it, in a sense. I find it just intrinsically appeasing, just more immersive, kind of like The Witcher 3, in a sense, still with magic and stuff, whatnot. So I wanted to also show you some of the progression. You wouldn't look like this right out of the bat, for example, right? Maybe some variants, for example. Maybe look like this, right? Some type of, within the realms. This is kind of like fantasy, in a sense, but it's also, this could work. Maybe some not so crazy things, but this is well within the realms of reality, in a sense, fighting monsters and stuff. It might look like this or something, right? Anyway, the monsters I wanted to be scary, in a sense, right? Not scary, but intimidating. So I like the theme of this, for example, the horror and the invoked from this image. If you can fill your mind with this, in the dark, looming, this is, minus the pumpkin or whatever, but it's Halloween pretty quick anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so this type of direction, in a sense, of the horror, a very dark, very menacing, foreboding, in a sense, I want this type of atmosphere. And also, I was very struck by this image, for example, right? Just just trying picturing the world around that, for example, like Diablo, right? But it's kind of, it looks like very sinister, right? Very, something very interesting to I like it in a sense. Some type of evil, be well worth the experience. I think something like that. I'd like. But these are just the theming, just trying to fill the ideas. There'd be other monsters like skeletons, for example, and like Diablo is and Dungeons and Dragons have very good. Second edition Dungeons and Dragons have very good monster themes. I like them. Mythology. I'm very into mythology in a sense. It's one of my strengths. I tried very, very hard to find actual mythology. But the world, for example, is like the continent. For example, I showed you this map here, right? There we go. There's that continent right there. Just passed by. I want to set this game in the human lands, for example. I use kind of pre-existing stuff, and here's my continent. Here's a continent of Illyria. What was it? And this is just a map of it, right? So I've done about 30 playable races in a sense, and try to fit them in one mega continent. And there's some other continents, but this is just kind of like Anyway, so the humans are here in a sense, right? And they're beside the undead in a sense. And there's it's very aware to me that this is like a very barren, very dead, very disheveled land, very decrepit kind of. If you've seen the very first the trailer to, for example, to the World of Warcraft, it shows the undead, for example. There's like this zombie dragging a sword, and it's all bleak and very, there's a windmill all messed up and decrepit, and this that type of thing, very foreboding and looting. And there's some more detail, for example, about the general. Here's the human lands, for example, right? I want it to be set in right here, for example. This is on the border. Picture over here is also like the border of the undead. There's also dark elves up here in the mountains, but you don't really see them much. But there's undead here, and the land's kind of corrupted in a sense. And there's castles. This is a giant. It's like the biggest castle in the entire. Picture this is like about the size of a good chunk of Europe in a sense, like Central Europe. So this is a very large world. But the planet, this one here, is 2.44 times larger than Earth. So it's very large. But just so everyone gets a fair, a chunk of land in a sense. That's the idea behind that. But this is a very. I planned this out, for example, for a different game, but the world's all the same. So this is a very they're fighting the undead basically. The human kingdom is at war with the undead. I was looking at the Warhammer, for example, and what they did with the vampire counts and the undead and stuff. I liked it very much, the thematic direction. Maybe the high fantasy elements were a bit too crazy somewhat, but I liked the thematic. I liked the design of it. I liked the vampires. I like that setting, for example. Maybe not over the top, but I like the ideas behind it. So basically, this is a big war zone in the sense of just undead fighting with the human kingdom fending them off, for example. Almost like Tristram in a sense, but like more just developed. There is, let's see here, is this? Yeah, here we go. This is a different map from a different game I was working on. Same. So there's like a ridge here, right? There's some mountains, there's a river here, right? So this would be the setting, for example, of the game. And there's towns, and whatnot, and there's castles. So very bleak and very muddy, like Diablo 1 in a sense. Picture Diablo 1, like when you're in the art for what do you call it? With Flare, it's actually very spot on for what I wanted. Like I wanted like color in there too, right? But sometimes it's good to have very moderate themes because it gives highlight to and gives it makes the things you want to stand out instead of being awash in all these other colors and things. And like Diablo 3 has a problem with this. Too much colors everywhere, and it loses the direction and the focus, as George Lucas would say. The focus is gone. So Ebonmore, Emperor's Arm, Ebon Watch Hold, these are like the forts here. Last Bastion Watch, the Blood Marches. Think of it, Rangers and stuff, but going out into the fighting the undead and stuff. Also, this is inspired by the what's it called? Fields of the Dead from in Faerun. It's like this marshland, kind of just. It's basically like, think of like Scotland in a sense, and like the wet, like the British Isles and the bits of Germany, Europe, and it's like where it's all cold and damp and the mud gets into you, and it's like there's themed back in the day too, when the Black Forest, for example, was foreboding, when it was so thick that the light wouldn't even touch the ground in some places in the forest. There's dire wolves and dire bulls and things, and there was something to be scared of, and people farmed on history, and it all kind of went away. But I want this to be inspired by these like werewolves and things, these type of very scary beasts that you'd fight, undead and stuff. I find there's always a great pull, for example, of people with undead, with demons and stuff, and Diablo and the night. I think there's something intrinsically, what's the word? I'm trying to find a very good word for this. It's intrinsically impactful for an experience. For example, Wrath of the Lich King, World of Warcraft, Undead, Frozen and stuff, and Diablo 1 and 2 were very good with the direction and stuff. I wanted this to be like that, but I don't want this to be like wishy-washy. There's limits. I wanted almost a science behind this in a sense. My game world is it's tuned in a sense. Like, for example, there's a bunch of metals. I've got that all done. There's wood, stuff, materials. There's progression. I wanted to do a better version of a World of Warcraft to begin with, but I ended up designing this very deep world so I've written it all to a point where I just got frustrated, where I just want to make a game out of it now. I'm just so done with not done, but I'm so complete in this. So, for example, I wanted to have a bit of a here we go. Anyway, gods and gods of the realm, for example, right? Just to show some where the magic and stuff comes from. I have a whole bunch of notes which I've hand written, like notebooks of it. So it's I can whack you over the head with a bunch of details, but this is a very, very, very good one. So basically, sort things out. There is magic in a sense, right? There's I've broken up the types of magic into a wheel, for example, right? And this is kind of arcane's in the middle of it, right? And there's everything that surrounds it in a sense. So it's like, and some are opposite. For example, light and dark are opposite. Order and chaos are opposites. These type of things. These are not in order, but it's just it gives you an idea. Furor is like fire. I made them like neutral in a sense, so you can basically combine them more in a sense. Yeah, anyway, so we have gods here, right? The idea is that there is about 8 gods and a creator in a sense, right? It's almost like kind of inspired from Dungeons and Dragons, old mythology, Norse mythology, Greeks and stuff. These type of things, and here's their profiles. Each one of them has like little a deity underneath them. So Chaos would have a deity of war, hate, and rage. These are the portfolios in a sense, right? And it's kind of like how Dungeon or Dragon 2nd Edition works in a sense, how you worship them and all this type of thing. I like that it worked. So this is important for like clerics and stuff, and also mages don't really have a religion. They're actually kind of bound to the creator, but this guy doesn't. He's kind of like a hands off anyway. But yeah, this is kind of just the idea of that, and just picture medieval history in a sense, like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is a very good mental map of the world in a sense, but ramp up the magic a bit more and the more beasts and baddies, but that type of very grounded world. So like 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons is a very good one. Lots of the best hits of history and mythology. That's what I'm going for this world. You can picture that in your head. That'll be great. So I really don't want to thump you over the head with details. I've tried very hard to keep this short and brief. So this theme, for example, of the horror of the this is a very encapsulating feeling I want to go towards in a sense, for monsters and stuff, for type of the horror in the game, like Diablo captured, right? This type of kind of spine-chilling horror, this is you wouldn't want to see this. I guess this is it's Halloween, I guess, whatever, right? So it's this is from World of Warcraft, I think, the Headless Horseman. But the point is, this art direction in a sense, I really like it, for monsters. Think of like red skeletons and stuff too, right? I like Diablo 1, and also this. I like maybe like some type of boss. I like this, some type of theme like this. I like this. This is like it resonated with me a great deal. Anyway, so that's kind of where I want to head in a sense. I know it sounds wishy-washy, but I don't want to hit you over the head with a bunch of stuff that's not interesting, because I could do that and make this video very boring, and I don't want to do that. But I'm very, everything you see here, there's about 10 things that are documents, like bang, bang, bang. Here's the metals, here's the wood, here's the type of monsters, here's the level system, here's how the magic works, here's how magic interacts with each other. It's all like engineered and designed behind the scenes, so it actually like the philosophy of it all is very well grounded. Like basically wrote a book pretty much of it. It's just all bound together. So that's where I'm at right now. I wanted to show you the level where I'm at in short, and so I'm not just sprouting out crap on the internet. No one knows what I'm up to. I'm actually very I don't want to publicize all this type of stuff, like because I want to just have some of it kind of proprietary in a sense. I don't want it kind of out there. I want it properly released, standard quality and all that. Anyway, this is Matthew, or with Amnesia, signing out, I suppose. Take care, have fun, and I really, really, really want to make an RPG game, but I need help. Like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day, nor was it built with one set of hands. That said, bye for now, take care, and I'll press onward.